And in this week's Trending in Asia, a century-old tech giant pulls out of the smartphone industry. Online uproar over tragic death in Taiwan, and a Twitter world record set in Japan. Joyce Howe of Google Asia Pacific fills us in. First off, Joyce, you saw a spike in search for the multinational in Japan known as NEC. Why are we seeing a spike in search for this company?
NEC announced last week that they would be pulling out of the smartphone business, which kind of begs the question, were they ever in it?
In the smartphone industry. I never thought about them ever having a mobile device anywhere.
They had only just entered that market in 2011, which if you think about it, is a whole, 4 years after Apple first introduced the iPhone?
Over here in Hong Kong, actually, there is another search spike that you've been seeing in the blogging world with Zanga. What's happening there?
Zanga. Yeah, so I think they introduced a fundraiser online. They needed to raise $60K, I believe it was.
60,000 US dollars.
Yeah, to stay afloat. It was a big mover in the blogging world. I guess they just couldn't capitalize on the next wave of social media. So unfortunately, I think adoption of it died out along with the rise of social media like Facebook.
All right, so next up, we also saw a huge spike in Taiwan and massive uproar over the death of a young soldier named Hong Zhongqiu. And I understand this was followed by massive protests in front of the presidential office. What is the history here? How massive are we talking about in terms of the online uproar?
He was locked up in this room, basically a padded cell with no windows. He was not given any water or food. It was all really mysterious, and so unfortunately when this young man passed away, there were still a lot of unanswered questions that the family was asking.
And even right now, I see that the protests are still going on over in Taipei, the capital, and I understand that the defense minister has been sacked and has already been replaced.
That's right.
And surely the protests are still going to be going on social media until questions have some kind of answer.
Yeah, what's remarkable about this is that the fact that they could organize 250,000 people to come out to the streets to protest just purely based on social media is quite a feat. And I think it marks quite a watershed moment in democracy for Taiwan.
And on a lighter note, we head back to Japan, and in the Twitter world, a great story about setting the Twitter tweet per second world record. Now, Joyce, tell me what's going on right now.
Last Friday, Nihon TV aired Laputa, Castle in the Sky, which is a classic movie by filmmaker Hayao Miyazaki. And so the climax of the film is when the hero and the heroine clasp hands and they say the spell word, Baus. And that's the magic word that causes Laputa to crumble into dust. At this climax, everybody is waiting at the ready to tweet Baus at the same time.
More than 143,000 tweets per second, which I understand is 4 times as many as the previous world record.
It's a great testament to how our world is really becoming multi-screen, right? If people are watching TV at the same time as they're on their smartphones or their tablets, they're all participating in the experience of watching a movie together.
And that has been Trending in Asia for this week. Thanks again, Joyce Howe, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.